does it blow your mind sometimes that it does feel like we're living Ready Player One in real life right now? Like that movie was ahead of its time in a way?
I think we have been for a while, like even through social media, everyone has a digital profile that they spend a lot of time focusing on and curating for themselves. So in a way, yeah, I guess we are living kind of in a virtual reality already.
How did you get involved in that project?
That was, so we shot that movie in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember auditioning for it, and my agent called me after I auditioned, and he said, they're going to go with somebody else. You didn't get this one. I was like, wow, it's all good. I can't wait to see the movie still. Really excited about it. And then a few weeks went by, I got another call. They said, hey, I think you should audition again. They want you to audition and try something a little different. And I did.
For the same role?
For the same role.
Okay.
And then Steven apparently responded to it, and then I went to, did like a chemistry read with Steven. And I remember walking into the room, and usually when you go in to do a chemistry read for a film of that size, the producers are there, and there's a couple people shooting it, so you've got guys operating the camera, etc. There's kind of a crew.
Mm-hmm.
There were two people in the room other than Olivia Cook, who I was reading with, and it was Steven and our casting director. And I was thinking, who's operating the camera?
Mm-hmm.
And then Steven said, okay, well, let's go, let's do this. And he picks up the camera, and I realize he's shooting it himself.
And for those who might not know, the Steven's last name is?
Spielberg.
That's the one. And he's the one who's like, I'll shoot it?
Yeah, so he's 2 feet away with the camera. It's the first time meeting Steven Spielberg.
And how old are you at this time?
I was 19 at the time.
Okay.
And I'm like, wow. And so Steven's operating. He's like, okay, all right, action. He's just got his little handheld camera. Yeah, it was such a cool experience. And then he kind of, I remember he told me, I said, hey, I don't know if I'll get this role, but I just want to say thank you so much for all of your movies. I'd be a different kid without your movies. And I told him, E.T. is one of my favorite films of all time. And he said, funny story about E.T. And he just went into this whole story about how they shot it chronologically, and the kids never, knew that E.T. wasn't real. They had the operator behind a curtain the entire time. And I just thought that was so nice and genuine of him just to tell me this story about this movie that I was obsessed with as a kid. Still am.
And then, so when did you find out you got the role? But that you won it, essentially.
Yeah, it was a few weeks after that.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
So wait a minute. So you're saying the kids in the movie thought E.T. was real while they were shooting it? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
That's
they were asked,
crux of the story?
Is E.T. real? There was a lot of ambiguity around it, right? They could see wires coming out, but there was still this kind of magical element that they never saw the operator, right? So in their minds, they could imagine that he was real. And he said that was a big part of, the chemistry between E.T. and the kids. And so the last scene, whenever the kids say goodbye to E.T., that was the last scene they shot.
With E.T.?
With E.T. in the film.
Oh, my God. I'm crying all over again. And, Mike, I'm sorry to spoil it for you. E.T. is not real.
What?
I'm sorry, Mike. Did we just break that news?
Yeah, I was.
To you? He's a 58-year-old man as of 2 days ago.
Drew Barrymore and myself, at that time, both believed that E.T. was real, and I still believe E.T.
All right. Well, you're going to cry in your bowl of Reese's Pieces later on.
I will. Can I find them?
You can do that. Okay.
Have them?
Tye Sheridan here on the Rich Eisen Show. And how many people just hit you on the street about being Cyclops? Or
Hardly never.
Because why? Because you're why is that, do you think?
I don't know. Yeah, not that they should recognize me or something like that. Maybe it's the visor.
Is that it? That was, some football players don't get recognized because they were always wearing helmets.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense.
So you and Emmitt Smith have that in common.
What's funny is I had, I did Ready Player One, where I'm wearing this visor on my face because I'm in it's in a virtual reality.
Right.
And then I did 2 X-Men movies where I'm wearing a visor on my face, which is actually crazy. Acting is, the most challenging part of that role was acting without your eyes, right? Because I have these red lenses, you can't see my eyes.
Yes.
And that's a huge part of
course.
what you're able to do as
They're
an
a
actor.
window into one's soul.
Exactly. And it was an exciting challenge for me, but I couldn't see. There's like 8 people in every scene in that movie. And we all have, marks on the floor. One's pink, one's green, one's blue. Yours is blue, right? But when you put on a red visor, they're all white. And so many times I would we would come into the scene, they'd say, "Okay, guys, stop. Tye's on someone else's mark again."
Because you couldn't see.
And it's basically like, you have peripheral vision, but you're basically looking through a box like this. You can't
look down.
You can't see your feet, right? So you're constantly tripping over stuff on the.
So when they're over budget, it's because you couldn't see. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I don't know if I go that far. They're over budget for other reasons.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.